going to take decision on make some decisions around amending the party's constitution. In addition to that, there was a lot of work that went into drafting these proposals. You've seen the document, I've seen it. There are 91 proposals that had been written, researched, argued out in a tall document. So there's a lot of effort and resources that have been put in. People had flown in from all over the place to be part of this. So what the NPP is telling all those people who made the investment, the delegates, 6,000 of them, is they did all this so a few people can make speeches to them and to the rest of the country. In essence, that's what happened. So if you look at it from that point of view, only to hold this big national meeting of delegates and putting all the resources, just so Dr. Bawumia, the president, the leader in parliament, the general secretary, the chairman, sympathizers from other political parties, etc., to make speeches to them, and they finish and they leave. That is the bit that surprises me. That is the bit that surprises me. And I wonder if the NPP was a party in opposition, would they have expended all these resources just for this purpose? They could do it because they are in power, and of course the resources they have. And so it gets to after the speeches, it gets to the point where the real decisions will have to be made. And then we are told the motion has been moved for all these proposals to now be, referred to the National Council for consideration. And then the people who have made the proposal for the amendments will be invited before the National Council for the council now to hear them out and then make proposals back to conference. I mean, that is a surprising turn of events.
But Evans, I mean, some would argue that, yes, it's a constitutional provision. The party must go for conference annually. The General Secretary should tell the party, the state of the party. The Treasurer should report, present the financial position of the party. And so that is it. But also there's a provision made for amendments. So while there's a provision made for amendments, the party's constitution makes it clear that you should have an annual conference where these 2 points, the General Secretary's report and the Treasurer's report, are key. So the amendments, yes, there are years there are no amendments. It happens that they were part of this year's conference, but unfortunately, time wasn't going to allow them, and so they can't be faulted when they've just satisfied a constitutional provision and realized they didn't have time to consider the amendments.
Yeah, I mean, but that's fine, except that then in those cases, you don't advertise amendment. This wasn't advertised. People have been asked to canvass these points. 91 of them had come forward. People had sat down and prepared the document. The delegates have been told to go and vote. People are prepared to go and argue. I mean, that's my point. If it was about a simple case of conference to render account, that's anybody understands that the Constitution allows that. But when you pre-advertise that and it doesn't happen, well, listen, it's for the parties to decide. They've made a decision. This is their part. I mean, but here's the thing. It is for me about the real reasons why this has happened, the way it turned out. Did people who amongst the NPP knew beforehand that this was going to happen? We knew that some of the key proposals were indeed going to be recommended for or deferred for National Council consideration. But definitely, those who are also certainly expecting that some of these will be considered by conference. So if this was the plan all along, I really wish to hear from the delegates what they make of this. So it's the party; they've made the decision; they have to live with it. But it comes back to the real reasons. Then the questions needs to be asked: did the party take this decision because of the possible acrimony that it will further engender in a part that is already having simmering tensions around presidential contest that is so 2 years away from actually happening? Maybe, and the party needs to clarify this, there may possibly the official line is somebody moves a proposal and I keep on asking, so if there was a proposal that was moved for the amendments to be deferred and referred to the National Council, was this motion put to a vote at the conference grounds? and was there an endorsement? That's one key question that needs to be answered.
Okay, so
the second point is, what was the real?
No, Evans, you land.
No, I finished.
Okay, so I was just drawing your attention, you guys, to the crucial vote on the controversial e-levy today. And I'm thinking there were MPs at the venue, lots of MPs. This is a time where you can't afford to let any of your members in parliament stay away. If they had gone through with this process, would there have been enough time to get all of them back to Accra to sit through this process today in parliament?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is Kumasi and Accra. I mean, this is a party in power. Kumasi and Accra, it's maximum 5 hours. All these members of parliament have V8s. They have the resources to get the police escort to get them to Accra in 3 hours overnight. I mean, if this even had dragged on to 9 p.m., absolutely, hands down, yes, they will still be in parliament for this decision to be taken. If all of them are in this country, I mean, that can't be even an excuse why the delay has happened. For me, it can be. There must be some other reason for this. And the party, well, they don't owe it to us to explain. If the 6,000 delegates went there, who drove in from all other places in the country to come and participate in this conference, are happy with the decision that they're taking, of course, so be it. It's their political party. But we as observers have to raise questions because it's a political party. And the questions around what we saw on the day, you cannot ignore the context, the presidential competition context around which the conference happened. Did that play into this? But remember the controversy that had gone before the conference. Did all that play into this? We saw what happened on the conference round. We saw how, the vice president was received. If you are the other candidates, not candidates, the other people, the other individuals aspiring to be president too and replace the incumbent, how would you be feeling? And then you allow this process to go on. It's further going to leave whichever is carried or not, and there are all these suspicions about which article was, in favor of which aspirant and the other. You probably read into all this. You better leave this not done now. Don't add further, injury to the wounds that we're already having to deal with on the quiet. Don't let this play out in the public. Don't let our, wash our dirty linen in public when people are coming to argue and make proposals and defend it. And that could be some other challenge. It all could have factored into this, but there's a possible reason that the MPs could not come into Parliament today. If anybody's selling that, I won't buy it.
Well, Evans, you make the point that because of the contest ahead, I mean the election for a flag bearer, and I mean that particular situation. Yesterday when we were having the conversation, you look at I was talking about the fact that the NPP finds itself in a position where today there's a lot of controversies surrounding even the management of the economy. You heard the Vice President make the point that the party would eventually come into government and turn and become the government. Now, if you are the NPP and you find yourself in this particular situation, you would want to do things which would not give you bad press. But you make a very important point. The point about the possible acrimony. Because on the ground, you had a lot of people who were not in favor of an early Congress. Now, the party's constitution is very clear. It says not later than 24 months when the party is in opposition, and not later than 11 months when the party is in government. So the party is giving a deadline, as in you cannot do it beyond this date. But you are not told how soon you can organize it. So really, some are beginning to say, there's not even a need for us to be looking at this. You can also get those who are proposing this because they're proposing it because they want to ensure that the party is compelled to actually do it. So once you amend the constitution, then that is going to happen. But you also would have to look at going forward because you're changing the constitution. And you're not changing the constitution just to suit a situation today. You're changing it because you believe that that is the way to go. There are those who believe that there's all these, and you and I had this conversation yesterday on, during our live coverage, and we looked at, where it was coming from and we asked the question whether it was in favor of a particular person. You look at it and you get the feeling, some people feel it's, targeted at one person. If you are the NPP, you look at all of this. And looking at the information I picked up, it looks like they knew they were going to push all of this to the National Council. And so while they came there, and Evans, you would agree that, some of the persons who were, part of this committee, who were expected to be on the grounds, were in their rooms watching and engaging with us, And so it looked like it was something that he knew they were going to do. Also because of, the tensions. You may not have seen it, but I'm sure if you're a delegate or if you are, at the higher levels of the party, you know what's going on in the party, and how particularly the front runners of this year's in the race to succeed Nana Akufo-Addo, how the tensions may be. So that could explain. But of course, once you've advertised and people show up there, you would expect that to be done. But Evans, another thing that happened, the president and the vice president spoke. I want us to listen to what they said, and then we'll come and talk about what we make of the president's speech and the vice president's speech at the annual delegates conference.
That every step that we take from now to 2024 is going to be decisive for whether we win in 2024 or not. Let's remember that the Ghanaian people are looking at us today, and they'll be looking at us every step of the way until 2024. So the more discipline there is amongst us, the more unity there is amongst us, the better is our conduct, so is our chances of 2024. Competition, we cannot avoid competition. Competition there will be, but let that competition help the party and not hinder the party, so that we can break the 8 in 2024. So many of the programs that we brought, we thought about them when we were in opposition. Free senior high school, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, the digital agenda, all of these programs that are our flagship programs, we thought about them in opposition, so that when we came to government, we were ready to roll them out. That's why we've been able to do. I want you to ask yourselves one question. What is the one policy that the National Democratic Congress and their leader, John Dramani Mahama, has thought about in these 5 years in opposition that they have brought to the people of Ghana? One. Somebody should give me one idea that has emerged from the National Democratic Congress in these 5 years that will bring about progress from Ghana. The answer is zero, zero, and zero. Not one single idea. This government has spent more money on education, on health, on industry, agriculture, infrastructure, particularly our roads, than any government in the Fourth Republic. Let me repeat it. We have spent more money on improving the circumstances of our people in education, in health, in industry, in agriculture, in the digital economy than any government of the Fourth Republic. And I'm very proud that we've led the government that has brought this level of achievement to our country. So when you leave here, go with your shoulders and your head right in the sky. You belong to the party that produced the government that has been most diligent about supporting the welfare of the people of Ghana. No government in the Fourth Republic has our record of expenditures on social and economic transformation.
If our performance on the key macroeconomic indicators, inflation, interest rates, depreciation, external reserves, trade balance, jobs, if our performance on all these key macroeconomic indicators during the worst pandemic in 100 years, if this performance is better than your performance without such a pandemic, How can you say your economic management is better? Kukrudu.
Right, so earlier you heard from President Akufo-Addo and finally from Vice President Dr. Bawumia. So Evans, that's President Akufo-Addo there, touting the achievements of his government, talking about what they've done over the past 5 years. You've also heard from Dr. Bawumia talking about the performance of the NPP even in difficult times. And I'm sure the question a lot of Ghanaians would ask would be, so when you spend more money, does that in itself translate into improvement in the conditions of the people? And if that does not translate into improvement in the conditions of the people, what does that tell you?
It's a question to me.
It's a question to all, including you.
But that's a fundamentally important point. And I wonder if it's necessarily a positive to talk about being the government that have spent more money than any other government on social interventions, etc. I wonder whether that in itself, taking without any other additional considerations, can be considered a positive, because the argument could be made very strongly that if that's your only benefit, that as a government you believe your biggest positive, that could actually mean also a monumental waste of national resources and taxpayers' funds. But these monies that the president is talking about is not NPP or the government's money. These are taxpayers' money that he says he spent. So in effect, what the president is saying is that I'm the government that has spent your taxpayers' money the most on social services, and he lists them: education, infrastructure, etc. But it is for the people to judge, right? I mean, so do you feel these investments? And it comes down to the point you made. It is a very important point that the president itself to give pause to consider. If you spend the most money, if you spend the government has spent most of our taxpayers' resources, is that commensurate with what we see on the ground? Is it commensurate with what we feel, what we experience? And the jury is out on that. The jury is still out on that. But many will disagree with him. Many will agree with what he had said. But I respectfully submit that the fact that you've spent the most money as a government cannot in itself be a positive. It is about, have you spent what you spend? Do we have value for money for what you've spent? Have we seen the benefits on the people? And I think that's where the emphasis should be, and not on necessarily spending the money. The benefit should be on the impact. Is it being felt? And I think for that, the jury is out on that. And somebody can actually stretch the argument and say that the mere fact that he won the elections a mere 12 months back possibly is an endorsement. It's a Ghanaian saying, yes, we feel we've felt the impact, and so we endorse you. We are employing you again. We are renewing your contract. So that could be an argument that somebody could make, because he still has 3 years to go, and that will also be a valid argument to make.
Yes, you're right. And I mean, the president, while he was in Cape Coast for his honorary doctorate degree, made the point that he felt that following the elections and Ghanaians overwhelmingly voting for him, it was an endorsement, for instance, of free SHS, because then he thinks that Ghanaians have bought into that particular policy. And you would also be right if you say that, yes, even though many Ghanaians have said free SHS is a good policy, there are many Ghanaians who have also raised questions about its implementation. He's talked about one village, one dam. I don't know who's been informing the president, but I'm sure today, if he were to go around, he would understand that the policy, the idea behind the one village, one dam, making sure that even during the dry season, farmers can farm all around, is not what is happening now. He's talked about the planting for food and jobs. Well, the planting for food and jobs, the Food and Agriculture Minister, just this year has had to complain about the unavailability of funds for the planting for food and jobs. And so at a point, the release of fertilizer had to delay in parts of the country. And we covered that particular issue. One district, one factory. It was a promise he made in his first term of office, expecting to have 260 factories in all the 260 districts of our country. Today, a little over 100 factories are operational, others at various stages of completion. So then again, what you say you have done and what you say you have achieved, the evidence on the ground may not support you. So
it just sounded like a roll call, 5 years on, the same policies, as if they were going to be introduced again for the first time. Just a lineup of all the policies. But guys, this was supposed to be taking stock. This was supposed to be re-strategizing. But the NDC featured prominently in all the speeches. And is this such a surprise to you guys?
Evans, you want to go first and then I come in?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, the MPP exists in contrast to the NPP. Sorry, the MPP exists in contrast to the NDC. And I didn't expect that this will happen. The president will speak, the vice will speak, and people will speak without mentioning the NDC. It's just what you expect a political party in power with its only proper alternative waiting in the wings that will be referenced. And this was another opportunity. Remember, yes, it's this conference, so they were supposed to be putting out. In other places in the UK, for example, when you go for conferences, those are the platforms where you lay out your policies, right? You sort of chart a path to laying out what your policy interventions will be. I mean, in Ghana, it's not the same. Every opportunity is an opportunity to campaign. Every opportunity is an opportunity to elevate your party while diminishing the other, which is in essence what our political landscape has become. And so this was really expected. And the president wouldn't be a politician he is. Bawumia wouldn't be the politician he is. John Bori, if they spoke without attacking the record of the NDC, because they know the NDC is the only credible alternative to them.
Well, the NPP in starting this particular year talked about breaking the eight. And breaking the eight sends a signal to you. The fact that under our Fourth Republic, every government has had 8 years. Okay? So Jerry Rawlings, 8 years. J.A. Kufuor, 8 years. Atamil's Mahama, 8 years. And we saw, after the death of Atamil's John Mahama, who could do another term, served his first term, and was voted out. So there's that perception that after every 8 years, there's a change in government. And the NPP acknowledges it, hence the slogan, break the eight. So that in itself tells you that this election is not MPPs to lose, it is NDCs to lose. You must understand. So if you are the NPP, you must start by making sure that the NDC is not seen as the alternative. And that's why you hear the alternative is scary. And so at its delegates conference, yes, while you expect the party to also talk about its state and how it's doing as in improving lives of the Ghanaian, it is equally the point that today the NDC, based on what it did in the 2020 elections, is a formidable force. It's not like the NDC in 2016 that lost that election miserably. And so the NPP thought we were going to win easily in 2020. And just look at what happened in 2020. If you are the NPP, you are scared. Because you have John Dramani Mahama, who's saying, well, posterity would judge me. And today, he's saying, look at the country. Look all around you. I told you that these people couldn't do a lot for you. And so you have the NPP. Today we have a talk about e-levy all the time. And there are those who have said, government's consistent, reliance on the need to have e-levy work is an indication of the mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy. And if you are the NPP who campaign so much on effectively managing the economy, you want to be sure that you tell people that you're still better at managing the economy compared to the NDC. Because who are you going to be compared with? You'll be compared with the NDC. And so if you're going to be compared with the NDC, in your conference, you should talk about the NDC. And it only goes to show how formidable the NDC has become today and what a force it represents in the 2024 election. You've heard the NDC consistently say, oh, John Dramani Mahama in 2024. You've heard Nana Akufo-Addo make reference to Mahama in 2024. While in opposition over the last 5 years, he should talk about, the alternative that he's brought forward. It tells you one thing. The NPP knows that 2024 is going to be very, very difficult for them. Also because propaganda after 8 years is ineffective in our politics, and I can prove to you.
And also just to add to that is the fact that from everything you said, it's clear that going into 2024, the real momentum is with the NDC.
Sure.
And not the NPP. And you can actually argue that in as far as second term election performances go, if you look at the parliamentary outcome, this 2020 elections is possibly the worst performance of any second term government in the Fourth Republic. You could actually argue that because of how the shift, the dramatic seismic shift in Parliament. If you look at that, it possibly could be the worst we've seen in the Fourth Republic. And so when it comes to as far as momentum goes, all second term governments in that election have lost ground if you compare to their first time election results. Former President Kufuor did same. Of course, the Mills government that John Mahama himself, superintendent in that election, also had that same experience. John Mahama famously lost his own attempt at a second term. So clearly that is the history they are working with. But they are going into 2024 against the backdrop of what I just said, that parliamentary performance, that parliamentary showing is a disaster. And so you're right. I mean, the NDC definitely has a momentum. And so if you're an MPP, you'll be spending a lot of your resources and time trying to diminish the NDC even more now than you probably would have if they had performed a bit better in 2020.
Yeah, just the last thing, another observation and comments from people on social media. The president didn't touch on e-levy. The vice president didn't talk about e-levy either. Was that a surprise?
No, but the president actually did talk about e-levy. What he said was that he didn't mention it specifically. He said, and I remember him when he started, he said that he congratulated the MPs in the House for the good work they've done in getting the appropriations passed last Friday. And then he says, I know there's one more hurdle to cross. And I am confident, of course, and that's obvious reference to the e-levy because we know that this is going to pan out, it's going to play out today. Then he says to them, and I'm confident that even with that, I know you do the job too. So that was not a direct reference to e-levy, but it was a reference to e-levy nonetheless, that we all knew that this is the last hurdle for them to cross and was congratulating them for it. But you're right, overtly, there wasn't any major emphasis on the e-levy. I mean, but I guess for good reason, right? Because if they threw it, and remember that this is a partisan political platform, this is a party's national delegates conference, and with the context of all the jabs at NDC and etc., if they have thrown in the e-levy as a major talking point, my reading of this is that could further poison the atmosphere going into today when they're hoping that they can strike a deal with the NDC side. And remember, the rhetoric from the majority side in Parliament had always been, we are still negotiating. We are still hoping to do a deal. We are still hoping to get to some middle ground on the e-levy. And so they need the opposition. They need the minority side. And so if they were not as overt and as open in talking about it, I think it's for good reason. I think it was a smart move not to as such a partisan atmosphere throw in the e-levy, because if you did so, that will certainly become an issue if you go into today and you have the president and Baumia, rubbing it into the faces of the NDC and criticizing them for etc. That would have been an issue. And so I think it's for good reason that. And remember that last week, Chairman Sabonsu had publicly at the press conference that he did said things about the e-levy and the lack of conduct and faith, the bad faith on the part of the NDC side. That got him into some trouble with the other side. And so I think they were very well advised on that matter.
Well, Evans, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk, joining us for post-conference conversation, as the post-NPP conference conversation.
Well, the word is out. Your official transport partner for the December and holiday season is Bobo Ride. Bobo Ride app has the most affordable taxi fares in Ghana. Now, more people are using the app. So if you're attending an event, whether parties, church, work, or school, all you have to do is to just Bobo to your destination. BOBO. Yep. Bobo is the app of the moment with high fares and prices from other ride apps these days. Your best option is to use the Bobo Ride app. You can download Bobo Ride from the Google Play Store and App Store. In fact, you should even try downloading now, because Charlie, right now, everyone just needs to Bobo wherever they go. Bobo Ride, the app they be.
And own a home from as little as 240,000 Ghana cedis. Yes, you heard right. As little as 240,000 Ghana cedis. Same price as buying a new car today. Sefi Realty is offering huge discounts on their 2 or 3 bedroom apartments this Christmas till the end of the year. Homes that are designed and built to reduce your cost of living and an excellent opportunity to invest. Nyamidia Apartments, located in Tema, very close to Palace Shopping Mall. Now, these are affordable luxury homes in a gated community with 24 hours security and various infrastructure and amenities. So if you're looking for a home that will save you money and an excellent opportunity to invest this year, call Sefi Realty on 0551 435555 or 0551 438888 or visit them online, nyamediagh.com. Terms and conditions apply. Prices are subject to change on monthly basis and only a limited number of units are available.
And hello, Ghana. Christmas planning has begun. Oh, Charlie, thousands of people are already preparing to make this Christmas the biggest with help from Societe Generale Ghana. The bank has given all USG Ghana Visa card holders cash back when you spend 300 Ghana cedis or more anytime you shop. No gimmicks, no hidden tricks. Just make POS and or online payment with your SG Ghana Visa card. And voila, you get cash back sharp. So move fast, look sharp, start shopping today. If you're not a customer, sign up now and get a card. For more information, call 0302 214 314. Promotion ends on the 31st of January 2022. And remember, with Societe Generale Ghana, the future is you. Terms and conditions apply.
And there's a new address in town for authentic and premium quality Ghanaian art and craft as the newly refurbished Ebri Craft Village. Now, the biggest one-stop shop for authentic Ghanaian handicraft of international standard, the Ebri Craft Village stocks a variety of lifestyle, home decor, and accessories. Come get your living room, bedroom, kitchen, dining, and garden decor items all in one space. So from Wednesday, the 22nd of December to Sunday, the 26th of December, there will be an exhibition of the widest variety of handicraft at the Ebri Craft Village, brought to you by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. Don't be left out. Please call 0242 111103 for any further inquiries. Export Ghana, Export More. When we return, well, we're looking at your Christmas financial planning.